Hey guys, how are you? Happy Tuesday. Welcome in to another episode of the Daily Juice Podcast with me, Matt Perrault, at Sports Talk Matt, to follow me across all socials, and it's been a cold couple of days. We were lucky, I'm not going to lie. We got the Chevrolet plus 185 to come in last night. That makes up for a lot. That had us down just 1.5 units on the day after going 0-3 in hockey. I got my teeth kicked in. I don't know what it is. NHL hockey, NBA basketball. I got to reset what I'm doing. I may need to take a look at first period unders again. I may need to come back and look at, the Bruins money line came in, so I got that right. But first period under, nope, that didn't cash. Game under, nope, that didn't cash. Bruins won, luckily, on the ninth shootout shot. That was luck to get that W. Boston's pretty bad in shootout, so they beat Dallas. They needed the win, but I got that right. But that was it. I went 1-2 in that game. I don't know what the heck happened to Vancouver. They're still scoring in that game. Vancouver got blasted, and then the Wild. Are you kidding me? I don't know. That was crazy. And then we had obviously Winnipeg losing. Hellebuck gave up how many goals? Hellebuck gave how many goals? Like, what was going on? 6, right? 6-3 final? I don't know. I may be confusing Winnipeg and Vancouver. I don't know. Both those games were bad. So we lost both those bets. We lost the under with the Bruins game, and that was 0-3. But then Chevrolet comes in with the Daytona 500. Again, my first bet of the year has cashed in 3 straight sports. My first golf bet of the year, my first MMA bet of the year, and now my first NASCAR bet of the year. I'll have to find another sport here to go ahead and bet to keep the cash in the first bet alive. I don't know what's next. Baseball, right? Yeah, spring training baseball. No, not betting that. What would be next? Women's college basketball. I haven't made one of those yet. Maybe we'll make one of those. I don't know. Maybe people have been asking for it. Bet women's college basketball. I don't know. So bad Sunday. Mitigated bad Monday. Wasn't great, but it was could have been a lot worse. So we start the week down 1.5 units. Going to go back to the wheelhouse. Going to go back to college basketball here. Yes, I did miss both my bets on Sunday in college basketball, but I'm going to come back here with 3 bets for us in college basketball. But before we do that, omahasteaks.com/juice. That is for the subscription service to go. And when you do that, you guys get free burgers for life and 10% off every time you make a purchase at omahasteaks.com. You get there by going into omahasteaks.com/juice. Now, we do have other sponsors. Quickly here, let me tell you about our friends at Bet365. Now, Bet365 and BettingPros, we have teamed up together. If you need a book, and look, this is available in New Jersey, Iowa, Colorado, Kentucky, Arizona, Ohio, Louisiana, Virginia, and Indiana. If you did not hear your state mentioned, Bet365 is not eligible yet. They're going to get licensed in more states, but that's where they are currently licensed. You're going to go to bettingpros.com/365. bettingpros.com/365. That's how we get credit for sending you to Bet365. When you are there are 2 options. They have a first bet safety net up to $1,000 in bonus bets, or you can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets. Most of you are going to grab onto the bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets. So how do you do that? You're going to sign up at Bet365, make a minimum deposit of $10, and then claim this offer. To activate your bonus bets, you will place a qualifying bet to the value of $5 to the deposited funds. $150 in bonus bets will be added to your bonus bet balance. Say that 5 times. Once your bet is settled, you will receive $150 in bonus bets to use on any event of your choice. To use the bonus bets, simply select Use Bonus Bets in the bet slip. Upon claiming one of the offers, the other will automatically be removed from your account. Your bonus bet balance can be used to place bets with it without wagering your own cash. Bonus bets can be used on any sport across a wide range of markets and as one bet or as multiple bets. As returns from bets placed with bonus bets are added to your withdrawable balance, but bonus bet wagering is excluded from any returns. See significant and full terms and conditions on the website at bet365.com. To get there, bettingpros.com/365. All right, let's start with the Creighton Blue Jays. Man, do they have a big game. Winning on the road in college basketball is so darn hard. The Blue Jays got worked in the first game. Worked. This is the defending national champs. The last time the Creighton Blue Jays beat a defending national champs was in the 40s. The 40s. It was Oklahoma State way back in the day. Now, you guys know that I do a lot of research with the Creighton Blue Jays. A lot of it is also going and reading the game notes. If you don't read game notes, I would recommend doing that. So here's the record. The Jays are 6-2 all-time against UConn. Greg McDermott is 6-3 all-time against Coach Hurley for UConn. The Jays have never lost to UConn in Omaha. 74-66, 64-62, and 56-53. Greg McDermott individually is 6-2 all-time against UConn. Dan Hurley was the coach of Rhode Island when the Jays beat him 84-72. Now, the Creighton Blue Jays are playing well. Okay, they've bounced back after that little bit of a bad stretch that they had. They're playing better. They've won 3 games in a row. They beat Butler, Georgetown, and Xavier. They lost on the road to Providence. They lost at home to Butler. The first time they played against UConn, they lost 62-48, and the game wasn't that close. Game was in Stores. Tough place to play. This is a sellout crowd in Omaha, Nebraska. This is the biggest home game of the year for the Jays. This is a complete and total nut house for a basketball arena. The number is 3. KenPom has it as a 2-point win for UConn. Whenever you're talking about taking the dog at a short price, this game is on Fox Sports 1. It's an 8:30 Eastern time start. Can the Jays win the game? The answer is yes. They can win the game. How do they win the game? They win the game from behind the 3-point line. That is their advantage. It might be their only real advantage, although Kalkbrenner up against Klingon is an unbelievable battle of bigs. But I like the UConn's big better than Creighton's big, to be quite honest. 60th in 3-point percentage for the Jays offense in college basketball. UConn defensively is 58th. Pretty much even Steven there. But the Jays get 39% of their points from behind the 3-point line. That's in the top 20 of college basketball. This is a make or miss game. They are a make or miss team. The Jays hit their threes. They will win this game. Because defensively, the Jays should be able to keep UConn in the 60s, most likely. It might be a race to 70. Offensively, UConn is 3rd best in efficiency, 5th best in effective field goal percentage. Unbelievable. They are 42nd in 3-point percentage. They are 4th in 2-point percentage. They've been killing people. I mean, UConn just straight up killed Marquette. Biggest win against top 5, top 4, top 5 teams ever. Margin of victory, 28 points. No number 1 team has ever beaten a fellow top 5 team in college basketball by 28 points. UConn just did that. Is there a letdown? The only losses so far that we've seen from UConn this year is on the road at Kansas and on the road at Seton Hall. That's a little sneaky there. They lost by 15. Injuries and whatnot. But the Jays won at Seton Hall in triple overtime. But they won there, 97-94. This is a quad 1 win for both teams. Whoever wins this game gets a quad 1 win. UConn doesn't need it. The Creighton Blue Jays could need it. Not need it to get into the dance, but to improve their seeding. Most people have them like a 6 or a 7 seed. They beat UConn. 4, 5 seed is potential. Baylor Shireman. You want to know who has to win this game for the Creighton Blue Jays? It's Baylor Shireman. The 6'7" senior from Nebraska has got to play his butt off. He's got to score, I don't know, 20, somewhere in that range. I mean, he's going to have to really, really play well. And he has been playing well, to be quite honest. I mean, he has stepped up a lot recently. He scored 27 points against Butler, scored 15 points against Georgetown, scored 16 points against Xavier, scored 27 points against Providence, scored 26 points against Butler. I mean, these are the games. he needs to score in the 20s. They need Baylor Scheierman to be a weapon, a rebounding weapon, a putback weapon, get to the foul line. Baylor Scheierman has to play the game of his life, potentially tonight. I'm going to back the home team here. Bias bet, yeah, sure. I thought about betting UConn and doing the John Anik bet and saying, you know what, I'm going to bet UConn, and if the Jays win and cover, that's great. But UConn can still win this game, and the Jays can cover. So UConn wins by 2, Jays cover. It's going to come down right to it. It's going to come down right to the last possession in my mind here. This is going to be an awesome basketball game. The Jays get killed, it's a bad sign. But I don't think they're going to get killed, to be quite honest. Could be a letdown spot for UConn. You crush Marquette in that big win, your puffy chest, you're going across the country in the cold to Omaha, Nebraska, where 19,000 screaming Blue Jay fans are going to be on top of you from the get-go. It's one of the most intimidating environments in college basketball that nobody knows about. Everyone talks about Cameron Indoor. Everyone talks about Fog Allen. All completely irrelevant. But when there's 19,000 drunk Creighton fans, that place is nuts. I've been to Fog Allen. I've been to Cameron Indoor. I've been to big basketball venues in college basketball. The Jays, when their fans get to be full throat and screaming, they're right there with them. It's a really hard place to play. But the Jays have to hit shots. Got to hit shots, keep the game, keep the fans in the game. If that happens, Jays will have a chance to win the basketball game. Creighton plus 3, 1.1 units. I'm ice cold. Fade away. I may just give you guys, go ahead, open at 2.5. Now it's 3. It's a one-possession game, but it's 3. It may get to 3.5. It may get to 4. I mean, you may see big money come in on UConn. It's possible. But given top teams and they're losing on the road outright, I feel comfortable taking the Jays here, given Coach Mack's record and the fact that he got smoked by UConn in the first matchup. Big revenge spot for the Jays here to come back and get a win against the top team. Again, the Creighton Blue Jays haven't beaten a defending national champ since 1940. I think it's 1947 was what I read. 1947. Yeah. Let me see. 1947. Oklahoma State. Last time they beat a defending national champ was 1947. Long time ago. Big opportunity for the Creighton Blue Jays. Bet number 2. Let's, in case you're curious, by the way, UConn 9-3 ATS on the road. Very good. The Jays are 5-8 ATS at home. 6-9 in the Big East overall. 9-6 UConn overall. 4-1 in the last 5 for UConn. 3-2 for the Creighton Blue Jays. But I'm taking the home dog. It's a home dog. To the Big 12. Baylor on the road against BYU. There is a theme to today's podcast. BYU. It's minus 3.5. If you can find a 3, jump all over it. I can't see a 3.5 anywhere in the world currently for this. Everyone's at 3.5. Some are at 4. But I got 3.5 last night here in Las Vegas. I would prefer 3. You can buy it down if you want. It's not too expensive to do so. But BYU at home. Let's talk about this game. So KenPom has this as a 3-point win over Baylor. Now, that's not often great. I'm laying 0.5 point, but maybe BYU comes up and gets a W because BYU at home, well, BYU at home is 10-5 ATS. Now, 7-3-1 Baylor, but boy, does BYU need this W. They're 3-9 ATS in the Big 12. They've lost their last 4 games ATS, 2 of them outright. They lost on the road to Oklahoma by 16, catching 2.5. They lost on the road to Oklahoma State by 10, laying 5.5. They beat K-State by 6, laying 11. They beat UCF by 2, laying 12.5. Last home game against Texas, laying 7.5. They won by 12. They did beat West Virginia on the road by 13 with 7-point favorites. But, I mean, against Houston was the last time I backed BYU at home, and they lost outright by 7. Here comes a BYU team, a Baylor team off of a 13-point win over West Virginia on the road, a 17-point win over Oklahoma at home, 3-point loss to Kansas on the road. They covered. They beat Tech by 6, pushed at home, and they won by 2 and didn't cover against Iowa State. Against UCF, they're laying 3.5. They won by 8. So KenPom has this as a 3-point win for BYU. They need this game. Home team. Crazy environment. Baylor going in. This is a game that BYU cannot afford to lose. This fits my trend of lose the game on the road and then come home. They're not dogs, but they're a small favorite here. They lost Oklahoma State on the road. They're 6-6 in the Big 12. They're 18-7 overall. They have done well. They've won 3 straight games at home straight up against Texas, Kansas State, and UCF. Need a win here for BYU. Rocking atmosphere in Provo. I'm taking the home team, taking the Cougars, laying 3.5, 1.1 units down, BYU minus 3.5 up against Baylor. And finally, we're going to the Mountain West Conference. Utah State against San Diego State. Utah State this year at home, 7-3 ATS. San Diego State on the road, 3-10. 3-10. They're 7-6 in conference. Utah State is 7-5-1, but they're 1-3-1 over their last 5 and 4-5-1 over their last 10. 4-1 for San Diego State, but most of those games were played at home. 3 at the game they didn't cover. They lost by 4 at Nevada in their last home game, catching 3. They were laying 9.5 against Air Force on the road. They won by 13, but Air Force is absolutely horrific. On the road in conference so far this year, they lost to San Jose State. They're laying 10.5. They lost by 3. Against New Mexico, they lost by 18, catching 3.5. Against Boise State, they lost by 1. It was a push. Lost by 1. They were laying 1. On the road against Colorado State, lost by 8, catching 2.5 points. They did beat Air Force, but they lost against Nevada. You see my point? This is not a good team on the road for San Diego State. They don't play well away from home. They get beat. They're 7-6 straight up this season away from home, but in conference, it hasn't been good, right? They beat San Jose State. There are dogs there, but they lost to New Mexico, lost to Boise State, lost to Colorado State, lost to Nevada. So 2 wins in conference, but they're under 500. On the flip side, at home in conference play for Utah State, they beat Boise straight up. They beat San Jose State straight up. They beat Fresno State straight up. They beat Wyoming straight up. They beat Colorado State straight up. They win games at home. They're 10-4 overall on the year. 11-1. 11-1 overall. Only 1 home loss on the season, and that was the loss to Nevada last week. They lost to Nevada 77-63. First time they lost all year at home. Utah State's laying 1.5. We're jumping on the Logan, Utah State. What's their mascot? I forget what their mascot is. What's Utah State's mascot? I forget. Oh, the Aggies. Let's take the Aggies. Minus 1.5. Home teams rule in college basketball during the week on a Tuesday. Creighton plus 3. BYU minus 3.5. Utah State minus 1.5. Now, if you want to go off that, against that, there's one other game I like that's not, I'm not going to give it out, but I kind of like this Pitt team. I think Pitt might be a problem for some teams. Pitt's on the road at Wake Forest. They're catching 6.5. KenPom has it at a 6-point loss. But I don't know. Money, it's now 7. You can get plus 7 on Pitt. Pitt's been really good on the road this year. I mean, we faded them, but Pittsburgh on the road is one of those teams. I just think they're shooting the ball so well. Remember what they did to Virginia? Pitt is 7-2-1 ATS on the road. They're 8-5-1 in the ACC and 5-0 over the last 5 games. 7-2-1 over the last 10. Now Wake's been pretty good too. 7-6-1 in the ACC, 3-2 over the last 5 and 5-5 over the last 10. They're 9-3-1 at home this year, but back-to-back losses against Duke and Virginia on the road. They didn't cover against NC State in their last home game. Pitt plus 7 is a decent play. It's unofficial. If you want it, you can grab it if you like, but I like Pitt there on the road at Wake Forest. But that spoils the fun. That's a road dog. We're not talking about road dogs. Talking about teams at home. Creighton, BYU, Utah State. 1.1 units down on all of them. Let's see if we can bounce back after the 1.5 unit loss on Monday. Let's see if we can get back on the horse here on a Tuesday. My name is Matt Perrault. Follow me across all socials at Sports Talk Matt every morning. Daily Juice Podcast is being brought to you by OmahaSteaks.com.